Hey there and welcome back to another Star Wars video. And last month, we saw the long-awaited release of the first teaser trailer for the upcoming Disney Plus original series, Obi-Wan Kenobi, which will release on the 27th of May, 2022, on Disney Plus, obviously. And when that teaser came out, I thought it looked pretty epic. Perhaps a bit short on actual storyline, but ultimately, I don't think it needed to have much. It was only the first trailer, and it was designed to get our nostalgia tingling, to get people excited for a continuation of the characters. And they hit all the boxes. Tatooine, young Luke, Obi-Wan halfway between prequels and original trilogy, lightsabers, blasters. It just got people even more hyped than they were already. And that brings us to the present, where we saw the release of the latest official trailer for the upcoming show, where we saw a little bit more of the plot and how it's going to play out. And this just, well, it ramped up the hype almost as high as it could go for me. The only way it could have been higher was if we actually heard Darth Vader's voice at the very end. But anyway, with all that being said, let's jump into the trailer. And we start off with a shot of the ship descending through cloud cover to arrive at a city. And so yeah, this is clearly the city that had featured quite heavily in the previous trailer. And I'm still guessing that based on everything we've seen, this is going to be where Obi-Wan goes after his position on Tatooine is threatened and he has to draw off the pursuers to protect Luke. And I kind of think this is backed up by the next shot of a squad of stormtroopers walking through the city, escorting one of the Inquisitors, the one with the round hat, Fifth Brother I think he's called off the top of my head. Somehow, I doubt he's just out on a Sunday stroll with the boys, and I doubt he'd be heading out on the town unless he knew for certain that Obi-Wan was there. So I would guess that this is going to be right in the middle of the story, because the first episode or two will surely be Tatooine-centric, aside from the villains talking in their evil base and prepping to go find Obi-Wan. We then cut to a shot of the Grand Inquisitor, the third sister, and fifth brother walking through the streets of Mos Espa, I think, along with a few shots of them clearly interrogating people about the whereabouts of Obi-Wan Kenobi, so somebody has surely tipped them off that he's on this planet. And I'm hoping that they don't do Uncle Owen dirty and have him squeal on Obi-Wan to the Empire, because that would just be a bit depressing. But it would also be kind of funny if they do go that way with the story, considering his eventual fate. Either that, or they'll just go the tried and tested method of some seedy alien noticing a guy who looks kinda similar to the bounty posters, and taking what he knows to the Empire, where they then thank him and then promptly dispose of him. That seems like a suitably evil thing for the Empire to get up to, doesn't it? Anyway though, I would expect that this would be a pretty early scene. We then see a repeat of the scene from the first trailer, with Obi-Wan watching over Luke at a distance and making sure that he's okay. And once again, the optics of a middle-aged man peering out at a young child using binoculars is a bit bizarre, but when you put that aside, I do find this scene really bittersweet. The mix of happiness that this young boy's happy and enjoying his life, which you can see in Obi-Wan's smile, but you also see that hint of bitterness and sadness that his best friend threw all of this away. That his choices meant that this little boy has to grow up without his parents and remain in hiding on this terrible planet with his aunt and uncle, never getting to meet his mother, with a monstrous child-killing dictator for a father, and a sister who's growing up in privilege on the other side of the galaxy and who he's unlikely to ever meet. It's quite a sad little scene when you frame it from that perspective. Next up, there's a scene of Obi-Wan and Owen Lars arguing about what Luke's future is going to look like, with Obi-Wan wanting Luke to be trained as a Jedi, and Owen wanting him to back off and leave the family alone for good. And honestly, I can see both sides of this debate. On the one hand, if the Empire ever does find Luke, it would probably be for the best if he's able to fight and use the Force. But on the other hand, from Owen's perspective, it just puts Luke into more unnecessary danger. Did Obi-Wan tell Owen what happened to Anakin? Because either way, it's kind of a bad reflection on him. It's either my apprentice, your stepbrother, turned evil and slaughtered his friends and allies, or the fake version he tells Luke in A New Hope, one of my students murdered another one of my students, your father, leaving you as an orphan. Like, either way, it doesn't really put Obi-Wan's teaching ability on a pedestal, no matter what the truth he told was. Ultimately, he's the guy that trained one of the most violent and deranged men in the galaxy who's actively involved in galaxy-wide oppression and murder. Honestly, if I was Owen, I'd probably tell Obi-Wan to piss off into the desert as well. We then get a scene of the third sister walking through a hangar bay, as well as the Inquisitors crowded around a table planning their operation, as a voice asks, "You still want Kenobi?" Now, was this Owen's voice? Because if it is, damn, that is pretty harsh bringing down the Empire on this town. Potentially putting your own family at risk, as well as a bunch of other people you'd know, just to get rid of this one hobo that won't leave your family alone? I feel like if the only alternative is calling the space version of the SS, maybe you should just learn to live with it. Although the next phrase that gets uttered by that same voice is, "He's gone." And it's whispered, almost taunting. So maybe it isn't him. Because why the hell would he say that unless he's either mocking or trying to convince somebody to stop hunting? So I don't really see what context this would be in. Would Owen really be able to stand up to the Inquisitors like this? Doubt it. But maybe it's one of the other Inquisitors. I don't know what they sound like. Guess we'll have to wait and see. And then this is followed up with a line by the third sister stating that they've been looking in the wrong places, as we see a shot of her overlooking the cityscape again. So yeah, unless this is two different scenes, I'm thinking she's just talking to an Inquisitor. And then we have her continue her narration, talking about how she wants everybody looking for Obi-Wan, who is probably the most wanted man in the galaxy next to Yoda, and then screaming that he can't win, and that he can't escape him, so Darth Vader. And God, I am really hoping there's some sort of confrontation there. Even if it's just them locking eyes, well, eyes locking mask from across the battlefield, or them having a disturbance in the Force type of conversation using their minds, I feel like it would be a bit of a waste if they don't. Also, the rage that the third sister puts into those lines. For one, cool acting. And two, I'm wondering if she has some sort of history with Obi-Wan as well. I'm really curious to see how her backstory plays out, as it looks like she's going to be one of the two main characters in the show next to Obi-Wan. And then, as that narration plays out, we get a fun little montage of action-packed scenes. Obi-Wan fighting bounty hunters in the Night City with blasters, Obi-Wan brawling with stormtroopers, a big battle in the hangar bay, a robotic arm getting attached to, well, obviously it's Darth Vader, before a battery gets attached and lights up with the classic Darth Vader panel board thing, as you hear the classic breathing, and we see a close-up of Obi-Wan's oh shit face. And I wonder if that scene's actually going to be Obi-Wan hearing Darth Vader breathing, or, I don't know, sensing his presence. For some reason, I actually doubt it. But regardless, I think it is going to happen at some point during the season. Once again, it would be kind of wasteful not to. But anyway, that's the end of the trailer. And damn it, it was good. Perfect trailer to build up that hype even more and raise expectations. I just really hope they deliver. With that being said though, these are just my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the trailer? Like it? Hate it? You hyped? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.